paid subscriber to Nerderotic Geeks and Gamers and Ryan Kennel since like 2000, like 17, 18, 19, like whenever the fuck they started, like pretty much. Whenever I saw them on Theory's stream, I subbed to them, and then Ryan started. Like, I'm just saying, I think that's hilarious because I'm not like. Again, I gotta reiterate, the video is a joke, and apparently
He did his job though. He did his job, so yeah.
It didn't have a job originally.
Well, no. When we were talking about it, it didn't have. That wasn't the goal. But then with that title, I was like, maybe this will pop off, and it did. So I wasn't looking forward to though. It just did.
All right, comes to Walsh.
All right, so here is our article, our for I guess one topic for the night. So the right is obsessed with Lord of the Rings, but they don't understand it. The bizarre conservative misunderstanding of the Lord of the Rings explained. And now this is, I've been looking through this while you guys have been talking. It's not actually that long of an article. Here we go. Among the many humiliations of being an American, all right, self-flagellate more for me, please. I really don't care. I like being an American. Fuck you. In the current moment, is
as a Texan.
Members of the tech right and the conservative ruling class continually fetishize objects of nerd culture while also displaying a willful inability to grasp the very basic message those objects are sending. To counterpoint this, I have a problem with the way a lot of people view pop culture, because a lot of people are wrong, both left and right. So you want to say that the right has problems? The left has problems with anime. Like they're constantly wrong about anime interpretation, like saying One Piece is political or Frieren is racist. You have picked out one singular element you don't like and made that the entire point, missing the forest for the trees. So we can go back and forth about this, but that's really not like the big issue of this.
They only support LGBT rights regarding anime.
Anyway, yeah.
Facts.
But we'll get deeper into this and then have more commentary. It's just some of the things he says here just kind of upset me. While there are certainly worse problems, e.g. white Sorry, what were you saying?
I said, is this written by Professor Onyeka Nubia?
No, Constance Grandy. Is a senior correspondent of the culture team of Vox, where since 2016 she has covered books publishing, gender and celebrity analysis in theater.
Who the hell analyzes celebrities as a job, though? Like,
I analyzed Sydney Sweeney's tits.
I analyzed him pretty close last night too.
Anyway,
you guys ever watch the article? Euphoria?
I'm jealous of you, Jamie. All right, proceed, Walshy.
Yeah, while there certainly are worse problems, e.g. white nationalism in the White House, the blazing lack of reading comprehension from people who are allegedly smart does give one pause. Put simply, these people are bad nerds. Probably the text most consistently prone to misreading is The Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien's beloved fantasy trilogy deals with the corrupting influence of power and the necessity of death. Yet, the right keeps using it as a parable for why powerful people should be given more power and human beings should be immortal. I'm sorry, where is this coming from? I have never seen these arguments.
No, they're not. That's because they're not. It's because they're not arguments.
No, what I'm saying is I have never seen. They're saying that the right talks about how people should be immortal and how like powerful people should be given more power. Every person I know on the right is severely anti-government. So I don't know where you're pulling this from.
Correct.
Like, please, some receipts, please.
It doesn't make sense.
Most recently, Elon Musk posted to his platform X that Tolkien's peaceful hobbits were able to live idyllic lives on the Shire because they were protected by the hard men of Gondor, referring to the human kingdom entrenched in battle against Mordor. England, Musk declared, must also ally with hard men, in these cases, the far right anti Islamic activist Tommy Robinson. I'm sorry, but the more and more I learn about this specific thing here, and this might get me or you guys in trouble, the less and less I fucking like it.
Yeah, there's many reasons that are pretty valid.
Not that I am like anti freedom of religion, but I don't know when your prophet was giving himself special privileges to do all sorts of degenerate stuff. Sorry, I shouldn't get into this. Either way, I think the point that Musk is making here. I wonder if this will actually take me to the. Oops. I guess it does. Is this still sharing? Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So when Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to the gentle folk of the English Shire, who don't realize the horrors that take place far away. They were able to live their lives in peace and tranquility, but only because they were protected by the hard men of Gondor. What happened to the nice man who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. It is time for the English to ally with the hard men like Tommy Robinson and fight for their survival, or they shall surely all die.
Yeah, there won't be a Shire, Pippin.
Yeah.
So we'll continue along because, like I said, this isn't a very long article. So, to restore peace and tranquility, Robinson is currently on trial in the UK, accused of refusing to comply with counterterrorism police, and Musk says, says Musk is paying his legal bills. Following Musk's lead, the Department of Homeland Security posted an ICE recruitment ad using screen grab of Mary, played by Dominic Monaghan, one of the hobbits in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings movies. Superimposed over the image in a line of Mary's dialogue, there won't be a Shire, Pippin. And then below it, the URL joinice.gov. The idea here is that the naive hobbits represent the civilians of both the US and the UK, and unbeknownst to them, they're being menaced by the forces of evil, Muslim migrants from the Middle East, alleged to be invading both countries. The only way to prevent it, the metaphor implies, is for the hobbits to ally with the hard men of Gondor, Islamophobic agitators for Musk, and masked militias who attack unarmed civilians for the DHS, before their way of life is gone completely.
I'm pretty confident these people don't know anything about the scourge or the scouring of the Shire.
Yeah,
yeah, and here again, like we'll probably get into some of this policy debate after this, because I'm sure Roman is just like sitting here like wanting to talk about this shit, but I'm
being respectful right now because I'm letting you read.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll get into a lot of this afterward, probably. But this doesn't read like a good faith representation of the other side to me. That's my big issue with it right now. However, you do not need to be a deep scholar of the Lord of the Rings and Friends. I am not one to understand that this metaphor completely falls apart after a single step back. In Tolkien's book, it is not the men of Gondor who turn back the forces of evil and save the Shire. It's those gentle, peaceful hobbits who pull the whole thing off. I think that is a complete misrepresentation of the books again, because while Frodo is ultimately the one to carry the ring to the mountain, it is Gollum who destroys it, and it is the men of the West who fight all of the battles.
Well, if you want to be completely technical about it, Eru Ilúvatar did kind of step in a little bit and kind of willed Gollum to fall just a little.
hold on. It gets better. They're the only species able to carry the one ring of power because they are, in their nature, unambitious. Well, they're not the only ones that are capable of carrying it. It's just that they have a higher resistance to it because they do not have the same ambitions that men or elves do.
Correct.
Like, realistically, they could... It would be like a Horcrux. Like, they could realistically pass it back and forth.
They actually do briefly, if you remember correctly, related to Samwise taking the ring for a short period of time.
Yes.
Yep.
All they want is to live their peaceful boars.
Effect on Sam, though. It has less effect on Sam than anyone else.
Well, his exposure to it's quite a bit lower too.
Yeah. No, he's with it for a while because he gets it off of Frodo when he thinks Frodo's dead, and he's going to go complete the journey.
I'm pretty sure the journey takes 10 years, correct?
No.
How long does it take for the Lord of the Rings?
The journey is like what? Like a year? The journey is like a year?
Yeah. Okay, so over a year, it really started impacting Frodo. But like, I imagine it was a fairly short period of time because you're talking about like halfway through, so like maybe a few months.
But it immediately affected Boromir.
Well, yeah, because he was a greedy fuck. But I mean, Boromir's amazing too. So
no, he's the shit. He wasn't greedy.
Yes, he was. He desired power in order to protect his people, and that desire for power corrupted him.
It wasn't even power. It was more so just, if we have this, we will be able to defend
if we have the nuclear weapon, we will, like, it's one of those type of things. So, yeah.
We ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, back to the hobbits. All they want is to live their peaceful bourgeois lives of tea and toast and jam, so that they are able to withstand the temptations of the ring and its promises of power, ultimately carrying it far enough to destroy it. Again, they still do succumb to the ring because the ring's power is, I wouldn't say omnipotent, but it affects everyone. It just affects the hobbits slower because of their nature. Frodo falls to the temptation of the ring and is not able to destroy it. And it completely forgets that the hobbits didn't do this alone. They still needed those hard men of Gondor that were talked about earlier to even get them this far.
The Shire isn't bougie either. They're poor as fuck. They're just living off the land. They're living in fucking holes. They don't even have shoes and stuff. Like, I don't get why they would say it's bougie. Like, this seems like a communist argument to me regarding food.
Well, it's Vox, so... and the hobbits don't wear shoes because they don't need them.
Yeah, they don't.
Sure, but I'm using
it ain't because they're poor.
Men. I'm just saying relative to men, like.
Mm-hmm.
It's the hobbits don't have shoes because they have calloused feet. It's just a natural adaptation. But
I was trying to just exaggerate. Yeah.
The men of the West in the Last Alliance, like, they go to the Black Gate as they think they're all gonna die. Like, they go there as a distraction to keep the eye of, because they know that Frodo's not dead yet. Because if he was,
well, here's the thing. They don't actually know if Frodo is dead or not by that point. They're basically operating on the assumption that if it hasn't happened yet, we're going to give it this one last push and hopefully draw attention away from the enemy's weakness.
No, they actually do know he's not dead. They do know because Gandalf says if Sauron had the ring, we'd already be done. After the Battle of Minas Tirith.
Anyway, so yeah. To translate,
Frodo's the shit. Sorry.
To translate this into the metaphor, if you're taking Tolkien as your guide and you believe your homeland to be under invasion by those forces of evil, the solution is not to try to consolidate your power, harden your nature, and glory in endless cruelty. The solution is to refuse power whenever it is offered to you and fight from a place of humility. Again, I would disagree because there are you're cherry picking the parts of the story that fit this. And we can get in more to the themes of Tolkien and his works later in this. The DHS and Musk aren't the only members of the new right to use Tolkien to justify their actions. David French told Today Explained earlier this fall, Vice President J.D. Vance has described The Lord of the Rings as as fundamental to his journey into conservatism, so much so that he named his venture capital firm, Narya, after one of Tolkien's magic rings. Vance's metaphor, Peter Thiel, or Thiel, I don't know.
His name is Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel, that's what I thought.
Yep.
Named his own venture capital firm, Mithril. Well, I mean, there's also Palantir.
No
one wants to talk about that one. After one of Tolkien's magic metals, another of Thiel's companies, an AI platform. It literally mentions Palantir right here. A magical artifact that the Lord of the Rings villain Sauron used to monitor and deceive the people of Middle-earth. More particularly just Saruman.
Well, the darkness of the... he also used it during the creation of the rings as well.
Okay. The darkness of that parallel is more or less for the course of Thiel, who consistently seems to empathize with most of Tolkien's villains. In a 2023 interview with The Atlantic, Thiel declared that he had read the trilogy at least 10 times and that he had come to the conclusion that the only difference between Tolkien's elves and his humans is that the elves are immortal and don't die. Why can't we be elves, said Thiel. I mean, again, immortality is not something I really desire. And I don't particularly know if Thiel is someone that I like either. So,
immortality sounds great on paper. In practice, kind of has some issues.
Mm-hmm. Who has spoken in length about his interest in extending his own life, perhaps to the point of immortality. One of the recruiting...
Real quick, I want to pull up these comments from Pilgrim. Just last week, Tolkien was the racist, but now it's just fans misunderstanding, quote unquote, it. They want to destroy him, and if attacking him isn't going to work, they'll go after the fans. He then says, the Fellowship departs Rivendell on December 25th, and the ring is destroyed March 25th. Yep. And then he says... So when Saruman took over the Shire using the Wild Men, and the hobbits fought back against them, it drove them out. I guess that's not using power. Good point.
Real quick question, too, on that. So how long did... because I'm pretty sure when Gandalf goes and checks on the ring when Frodo is keeping it safe... He's technically not wearing it during that period, right?
Yeah, in the books it's 17 years. In the movie,
it's a year, right?
Right. Yeah, so he's just keeping it hidden. He's not technically like involving himself with it, though. Correct?
I actually think in the movie it's about 17 months instead of 17 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. I was just asking.
We only have a few more paragraphs before this article is done. So,
yeah, man, I got you.
One of the recurring plots of The Lord of the Rings is in fact stories about human beings who try to be immortal like the elves and are corrupted by that attempt. Their lives ruined. They become undead or insane. They cling to grotesque caricatures of life. Death in these books is known as the gift of men. It is what gives human lives their shape and meaning. Elves are naturally immortal, but humans who try to be immortal are corrupted as surely as those who thirst for power. For Tolkien, mortality is a gift, not something to be fled in terror. None of these messages are difficult to understand. They are surface level. Children in middle school regularly pull them out of these books without difficulty, yet for some reason, a group of incredibly powerful men who pride themselves on their own intelligence and who also consider Tolkien's philosophy to be fundamental to their worldview seem to have a lot of trouble. The Lord of the Rings actually has a pretty deep metaphor for what happens when powerful people decide to willfully ignore the wisdom of people they claim to respect and conclude that the only way they can be of service to the world is by chasing power for themselves. That's what happens to Saruman the wizard, and he ends up invading the Shire himself. The men of Gondor don't stop him at all. Again, the problem that I have with this article.
How did they get there?
The problem that I end up having with this article is that it seems to want to cherry pick a bunch of stuff specifically to go after it, and like the calling Tolkien like racist or bigoted or saying that the world of Tolkien is problematic didn't work. So now it is, well, actually Tolkien was making fun of you. This is a very like consistent thing that happens through a lot of fiction when it comes to the politically minded end of the debate. And that's a problem that I do have with people who are super politically minded. They tend to insert their own politics into everything, especially where it doesn't belong.
Dude, I actually... Here, I'm going to do something. There. Gondor can't fucking get there. Like,
and, well, here's the thing is,
by the time that would have happened, Gondor is reeling from the attack on Minas Tirith. They just fought at the Black Gate with the last of their men. How the fuck are they going to get halfway across the country?
Well, hold on. Wouldn't this... Okay, so Saruman invaded with the Wild Men. Saruman died before the final battle of the Black Gate. He was stabbed in the back by Grima Wormtongue before that.
In the movie.
Yeah, that's not accurate to the books.
Yes, in the Scouring of the Shire happens after everything. The ring's already destroyed by the time they return home. And then Sauron's in control, and then he gets killed by Grima there. Yeah, he's been
I guess I would have to go back and listen to those books again because I kind of remember it differently.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
His death in the movies is just a death to have a death for him because like they weren't going to do a fourth ending to Lord of the Rings.
I'm not saying I need to go watch the movies. I said I need to go listen to the audiobooks again. So don't argue something completely different. I'm saying I've gone through the books. I don't remember it that way. It may be something that I have to go back and check. Then don't go off on a tangent about it. If you're not.
No. I'm telling you why they didn't do it in the movie.
I don't care why they didn't do it. It's irrelevant.
I have a question for you, Keem. So when it came to the books, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't remember necessarily that Saruman initially just directly invaded them. I thought that he may have manipulated them at the start and then invaded afterwards, like fully on enslaved them. But I almost thought it was a situation where he was trying to like convince them that he could help them be more productive or do something like that. Was that not the case? Okay.
That was
okay.
The case.
I'm just trying to remember. That's a vague memory that I had, so I'm glad I'm not fully retarded.
No, so Saruman wanted to. He got them. He said that he would give them the Rohirrim's land.
To talk a little bit more about like the whole politics of this, because that's probably going to be like the big core issue that we'll be talking about a lot here. When it comes to like politics and stuff, like the DHS and the Trump administration, like I'm okay with people like, you know, making memes and stuff, but like I think they have like misinterpreted some things, and I do find it a little bit frustrating to see that people are taking like Halo or Lord of the Rings and trying to like use them as like political fodder, basically, like the way the DHS basically compared the flood, or sorry, illegal immigrants to the flood recently. Like, I feel like of all the things that you could have done, you chose that. Like, it would have made more sense if you were going to make that meme and say, stop the covenant, not destroy the flood. Like, yeah, that's a completely like bullshit thing to do. But it is like a lot of people have. I don't like the idea of people taking their politics and projecting it onto a series. Okay. It annoys me. It gets even worse when you have people who want to come in and change those series to specifically fit their own politics, i.e., the way Star Wars and the later entries in the Marvel Cinematic Universe began to take on certain trends, because they had political or ideological motivations to do so. I.e., you had a lot of the female character doesn't have any flaws and is just better in every way than the traditional male character that everyone loved. So, and I don't particularly have a problem with a strong female character. A lot of my favorite anime tends to have very good like female characters. Cowboy Bebop, front and center, Faye Valentine. ReZero, second favorite anime of all time. Literally every single woman in that is the head of her faction and probably one of the most powerful characters there. Aside from Reinhardt. Reinhardt is just he is something else. But later next year we'll get into the fictionality for that one. My point is you get to. I'll finish up here really quickly and then let you go. Okay. My point is it happens with both sides. The right decided to use the same sort of politically based spite to create things like, did you guys ever see the cartoon, The New Norm Show?
That was ass.
No.
It was ass. Yes. Thank you, Muffler Tape. It was a conservative show that was basically just making fun of the woke, but it was just as unfunny and cringeworthy as all of the woke shit that was coming out or at its time that was all motivated by politics and spite. The difference between what the DHS has done is they haven't actually gotten, and what Disney has done to their properties is the DHS hasn't gone and actually gotten involved with the creation of the stories. They just haphazardly took some memes and made some really shitty comparisons.
Right.
I don't think the Lord of the Rings particularly has a political leaning, particularly because Tolkien was really just pro-nature, anti-industrial, and a Catholic. Those were the motivating things that led him to create that. Roman.
What I would...
Which is why every single person, and like it's been translated into 57.
No, I'm more so like for your sake because we've been cutting you off, dude.
Sorry, 57 languages. That's all I had to say.
What I was gonna say was that so Rowan and I have like brought it up a couple times. Like we didn't really get deep into it, but first of all, I just want to say I never thought of Lord of the Rings as being like overly political, but what I will say is that do you guys not like see the comparison, but do you guys understand, like, for normie people, if they see, oh, there's this new, basically the new NSA is being done, but it's being called Palantir, like this like evil all-seeing eye orb, like you kind of have to see, and sorry, this is true, it's being done by a current administration that is, sorry, a right-wing one. So I'm not saying that all of the comparisons are valid.
I hate to break this to you, but the Palantir contract actually goes back to before Trump. And I know this because I actually have some investment in Palantir. I keep up with this kind of stuff because it's relevant to me. Palantir isn't just a Trump. It's not negating the fact that Trump is involved with it or that the current administration is involved with it. I'm just saying, pinning it all on him when there was time where it could have been ixnayed, both parties want it. The whole government wants it because that's what the government does.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but the current administration is starting to implement it, though. Unless, of course, I'm wrong and Biden started to implement it. I could be incorrect, but I'm pretty sure that the current administration's implementing it. Point that I'm making is that you have to think about it from this lens that people are seeing, Palantir, evil thing being done by current president and current White House.
That's shallow, but yeah.
Well, yeah, it's shallow, but like also though,
it is weird to name it that though.
Yeah, just like the Patriot Act, which nobody has had a problem with, I guess, even though it's been there for 20 plus years now at this point.
Here's the thing: is like my problem with the article, Roman in particular, isn't that they're like making these comparisons. It's that they are specifically cherry picking only the things that they want to talk about. They don't mention the issue of the war of or the issue of the Rohirrim, where you had a country that just did nothing about its borders and let a bunch of other people run roughshod over their country and destroy it.
Yeah,
right.
You can make these same comparisons back and forth. It's not that Lord of the Rings is left or right. Like I said, I mean, you can. I've listened to Tolkien's letters. I have the physical book, and I bought the audiobook so I could listen to it at work. I've listened to him basically lambast Adolf Hitler because he hated the Nazi Party. He hated the Germans during World War II for their policy of, persecuting the Jews, among other things. He did not like industrialism. He saw it as destruction of God's creation.
Exactly.
So there are things where he probably would very much disagree with the modern American right. I mean, I don't think he particularly liked Americans anyway. But
he's African.
Let's not with the memes and shit, dude. What
memes?
But at the same time, like again, Tolkien was like a traditional Catholic. So, that doesn't necessarily mean he was left or right. It's just socially, there are a lot of things that the left nowadays pushes that I do not for a second believe that Tolkien, a man who grew up in the first half of the 20th century, would have been supportive of. So trying to make his works like a left or right-wing thing, I don't think his works were ever supposed to be political. They were supposed to have nothing to do with political. And really, the only reason he called them Catholic works was because he was a Catholic and saw that there was some sort of applicability there to be thrown in. There was some relation.
I mean, if you take the time to read The Lord of the Rings, I could see that he was talking about like his, distaste for like real world like industrialism, and he wanted to, conserve nature and things of that nature. But that's not really like being anti-industrialism is not political. And if we're being honest, being anti-war shouldn't be either. But for the politicians, for the politicians, it is. For the people, it's not. But that shouldn't be either. So half kind of true that being anti-war is technically a political thing, but he didn't mean it in that way. But talking about it, I guess, kind of is a political thing. But no, overall, Tolkien's work is not meant to be interpreted, at least in my eyes, as political. And I don't think that anybody who reads it and says that it is being honest, and that goes for either side. I don't think the other side can really claim the Lord of the Rings as theirs. I don't think that really, personally, you guys can feel free to disagree. I don't think that either side should really claim any sort of media. That's just my view. Like,
I think there
that's not
are
really fair to
some that
do.
you can genuinely say are political. I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong, Muffler Tape, because this is more your area. But I feel like Heinlein's stuff, like, what is it, Starship Trooper and all that, would be more political. There are some things that are, more left wing political. There are genuinely some series that do have politics to them, that have a point. And I've pointed this out in some of my discussion of this issue. Like Chainsaw Man can be a little bit political. Not to spoil too much for you, but Fujimoto does take a couple of jabs at American Warhawks.
As a producer, do we need to have an extra voice in here talking about that? I'm not for sure. I'm currently backstage with the questioners and just curious if we need to involve him as well.
Yeah, bring him in.
I would love that.
All right, I'll try to send him the link then from what you shared already.
I can send it to him. I already got him.
All right, perfect.
I wasn't sure if he was available.
Anyway.
I'll send it to him right now.
And the big part of this, though, with this article is talking specifically about like the illegal immigration thing, and not to get too political on like that front, but I do believe that a nation has borders. Borders demark who is in charge, and there should be restrictions on who can cross those borders because you can never be sure that absolutely everyone is going to be friendly. And you can point to a plethora of cases across the world where these migrants have done some pretty awful stuff. Like there was a case recently where a man was let off. And maybe I shouldn't use that one in particular because I don't know if he was actually.
I know what you're talking about.
But there was one where this girl defended herself, like in Scotland, defended herself from an attack with a knife, and she got punished. There's a bunch of stuff like that. I genuinely think nations are allowed to have borders and say you can or can't come in. Illegal immigration is a problem regardless of how you want to frame it, whether they're migrants or not. Whether you think that it is humanitarian to let them all in or not. If you don't enforce a border, you might as well not have one. And then you might as well not have a government or a nation at that point.
Correct.
Not that I am completely against helping people. I do think there is room for, actual humanitarian efforts there. It's just one of those things where, like, if you let absolutely everyone into your house because you want to be nice to them, you're going to get screwed over. It is the double-edged sword of unlimited empathy. And it's too bad you weren't around for Tokyo Ghoul, Roman, because that would be an excellent example to bring up the reason why empathy can actually be a very dangerous thing for the person showing it.
Yes, there is a thing of suicidal empathy.
It's funny because the other person that brings that up is not this guy, but he's now in the show. The questioners.
I'm glad you're so enthusiastic.